Whenever you're ready.
Imagine not having to refuel your car for 20 years, and that every tank of fuel you got had the same power as a ton of coal. These are some of the abilities of nuclear-powered submarines according to the Navy. Nuclear power is very efficient and has obvious advantages. Still, using it poses a significant environmental risk. To understand the potential of nuclear power, we must focus on these advantages and disadvantages of this unstable yet efficient fuel source. Nuclear power is undoubtedly many times more efficient than fossil fuels, and it is used to produce a huge amount of electricity every year. To understand the advantages of nuclear power, we must focus on, or must split it into three main categories: efficiency, operation, and environment. According to the Nuclear Energy Institute, the average nuclear power plant produces 11.8 billion kilowatt hours of electricity per year. And one pellet of uranium fuel for nuclear power plants has the energy equivalency to 2,000 pounds of coal or 17,000 cubic feet of natural gas. And nuclear power plants can be operated continuously and underwater, which is why they're used in nuclear submarines. The efficiency of the nuclear power plants can be attributed to its fuel source, which is uranium. Nuclear power plants use heat from radioactive decay through a process called nuclear fission. In this process, uranium, which is unstable, absorbs a neutron, causing it to split. And the products of this reaction are heat and 3 neutrons in the form of gamma rays, which keep the reaction going. Cool water is needed to keep the reaction at a stable temperature. And as you can see from my visual aid, the heat is used to produce steam, which then turns a turbine, creating electricity. Nuclear power plants also create 310 more jobs per 1,000 megawatts of generating capacity than coal power plants. Another advantage of nuclear power plants is their cleanliness. In 2013, they removed the carbon emissions from the equivalent of the use of 110 million cars. And in the short term, the only byproduct from nuclear power plants is water vapor. In the long term, there are radioactive byproducts produced from nuclear power plants, which brings us to the disadvantages. Although it is beneficial to the environment in the short term, if a plant were to overheat or become unstable, this could lead to failure and cause extensive environmental damage. Nuclear power plants are also very expensive. From an environmental standpoint, the the disadvantages may outweigh the benefits. One textbook example of this is Chernobyl. In 1986, a Soviet power plant experienced a power surge, which caused a series of steam explosions and fires. This introduced a large amount of radioactive material into the environment. A lot of this was carried downwind and showered over a lot of Europe. The town was immediately evacuated, but a lot of the workers who worked to contain the spill were killed a short time later from radioactive exposure. Ukraine still enacts a 30-kilometer perimeter around the site because there are still dangerous levels of radiation present. Radiation attacks organic processes on a cellular level. Because of the radiation exposure, many of the forests around Chernobyl died. Radiation also affects your DNA, which causes a variety of genetic defects. There are also a high percentage of genetic defects in plant and animal life around Chernobyl. Secure storage of radioactive waste is also a concern of many plant operators because the wastes retain their detrimental effects for thousands of years. Another disadvantage of nuclear power plants is the price. They require expensive resources and high-paid experts in the nuclear field to build them. It is imperative to use the best building techniques to build nuclear power plants to prevent failure even in the event of a natural disaster like the earthquakes and tsunamis in Japan, which caused a number of reactors to fail. The cost of a new nuclear power plant is upwards of $5 billion. In conclusion, in summary, nuclear power is very efficient, but it has many disadvantages. This has caused the U.S. government to be cautious in expanding its use. I would like to review the advantages and disadvantages of nuclear power. Nuclear power is very efficient and day to day is less harmful than carbon-based fuels. But if a plant were to fail, this would cause catastrophic environmental damage, and history shows us this with examples like Chernobyl in Japan. Nuclear power plants are also very expensive to build, and they require tight security regulations. I hope my speech has given you a better understanding of nuclear power and its advantages and disadvantages. It is up to us and future generations to decide if nuclear power is a viable energy option.
All right.